Welcome to Venator Chronicles Podcast. I'm Ethan Taylor.
And I'm Dustin Jelly.
Our hope is to inspire new and old hunters alike.
We hope you can join us on this journey of lessons that we have, are, and will learn through the world of hunting.
Yeah, well, it started, so here we are.
Oh.
Is that going to be the new intro? My wife was tearing me up about 3, 2, 1 live. I was like, all right, well, you know what? You're probably right. You mostly are. And you might have to change it up.
Who is she to judge? This is our podcast.
Dude,
This isn't her podcast.
But she's saying it to improve, and it's not just to be critical.
But it's our uniqueness. We sound stupid sometimes.
Okay, all right, confession time then.
Oh, boy.
Profession.
Profession.
Literally,
by the fireside.
Okay, I did not know what to do whenever we started a podcast and felt awkward. And literally, because of Joe Rogan's podcast, I said 3, 2, 1 live, guys. Okay?
Oh, my gosh.
The truth is out.
So you
The
copied somebody? You
I know,
copied
I
Joe
was
freaking Rogan.
I was unauthentic. I didn't know what to do. I was in a space I was unfamiliar with. The cat's out of the bag. Now everyone can inundate
now
us.
we have
with
to change it.
Well, it's done. We did.
1, 2, 3, we're live.
No, 3, 2, 1.
No, 1, 2, 3.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just changing it now.
I'm
It's
just
authentic.
1, 2, 3, 4 live.
Oh, man.
So anyway, officially the intro is definitely changing now that I let that go. But you know what? We just got done talking about the importance of vulnerability and authenticity.
And the existential realities of life.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's on the last podcast, I think. We don't know when we're going to release which one, so everyone's just going to have to bear with us. Oh, well. Take your time on that, Dusty. Dead air. No problem. Everyone loves to listen to a fire crackle. Are you going to do it again? Are you going to try to put the microphone up to the fire?
Should I?
Please don't, because all you hear is the mic rumbling about. There it is.
Look at that. That's a beautiful sound.
It's a different mood right now, though. We've really lightened up since that last one.
Yes. Yeah. We have shifted and changed corners quite rapidly.
Okay, so first of all, a sign of the things is like when I'm looking at our recording and it you get your voice and it spikes and stuff as we talk.
Yep.
Whenever I see it go flat, I just assume our podcast is dying. So let's never pause for the fire again, okay?
Hey, it's the small things in life. It's those small moments of reflection, sitting back and enjoying the beautiful crackling of the fires.
Yeah, but the problem is that these people are probably driving. They're probably at work. They're doing something where it's like, all right,
They probably can't
entertain
even
me,
hear
monkeys. Entertain me. Dance, monkey, dance.
it. Oh man.
So let's do that. Why don't we entertain the folks, okay?
Nobody wants to see us dance.
No, well, they probably
That's gonna
do
be
for that
worse
reason.
than how our podcast sounds.
Oh, well, what are we talking about today, Dusty?
Man, I think we've been talking about doing this for a while. You've been giving me the cold shoulder, but it's finally here. I think we're going to talk about our equipment, the good, bad, and ugly, the highs and lows,
Yeah.
the rights and the wrongs,
Let's
the
talk
known
about
and the
that.
unknowns.
Because what do you
Have
think?
and have not.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Thank you. You're just
The black and whites.
You are so cookie cutter right now. Okay. This is
The gray areas.
I'm gonna just be transparent on the outside here. The reason I've not wanted to talk about it because I know you're so technically inclined with all the gear and what you're running and all that jazz. And then on the other hand, I'm like, I'm just gonna sit here and nod quietly as like, yeah, cool. But I've come to the realization
You're the monkey with the stick.
there is some value because it's people like you, Dusty, that keep people like me out of bow hunting because we feel inadequate. We're not
Whoa.
equipped. We don't have the stuff or the money to do it.
I don't have the money. I just make
I
it
know.
happen.
You prioritize.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Yeah,
Okay.
I trade.
Yeah, you do.
I do
Dude,
trade.
You work the
I
market.
am a trade whore.
Yeah.
No doubt about that.
Okie dokie. Gosh.
What? Come on, 40 releases in 2 years isn't?
Well,
That's
now you
fine.
get. Oh my gosh. Now that you've switched.
Oh, man.
Okay.
So speaking of,
Hold on. Let's talk about releases, shall we?
yes.
I'm
What-
sure I've gone through this, but
what did I send you today?
Well, I'd like to even go further back. Let's just revisit this as we're going to talk about equipment
Back
today.
up.
So let's just all take a moment of silence.
And travel back in time.
we're going to travel back in time to Dusty and his release obsession, okay, for
Addiction,
Compounds Bows.
issues, commitment
And
issues.
the highly listened to release episode.
I think that was probably like our least amount.
We knew it was going to be a
Yeah.
niche or whatever market
Yeah.
as far as like, all right,
I'm
well,
surprised more people weren't so like intrigued by having some guy walk through tons of different releases and what he liked and didn't like about them. Wow.
well, I think we had upwards of 2 or 3 people comment on it, so that was helpful.
Hey, that's cool.
No, but we knew it was going to be a bit of a niche. But the thing is that you finally, after 3 hard years, 41 releases later, you narrowed down victory. This is going to be the ultimate release. And I switched to a trad bow, so I'm back to my fingers, and that's it. Not actually, that's it. But I thought it was terribly hilarious and ironic that as soon as you figured out the release you wanted, you completely switched the entire system.
It was great timing. It was fantastic timing.
You got that. So you did squeeze the release episode in at a very authentic moment for you. So it wasn't like you had the traditional bow and then did the release episode and now we're, you know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
got that going for you.
So
At least you were honest at the time.
And hey, I still have the experience.
That's true.
That's
true. People can still reach out to Dusty and ask him what release and why,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's a big deal because they are expensive.
They are expensive unless you know how to trade them.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a lot of
nobody's
effort,
business.
man. A lot
Yeah.
of effort. A lot of effort for a
Yeah.
guy like me. Tell you that.
so yeah. So let's see, what was like 2 years, went through almost 40 releases, and now in what, not even quite 3 months of shooting the trad bow, I'm already up to 7 releases.
I feel like sometimes you make it more complex than it might need to be.
Well,
No, I guess so. This is a genuine question here. How different have you found even within those 7 releases? We're not just going to talk about releases, don't worry. But how different have you found those leather patches as I assess them through pictures? Leather finger patches,
well, it's
finger gloves.
yeah, little tabs. They're called tabs.
Oh,
Get it
okay.
right. Come on, it's like
Okay.
calling a magazine a clip for a pistol.
Do you know that? Okay, for pistols. I'm glad you
Yeah.
clarified.
There is some rifles that do have clips.
Yep.
You
World
know.
War One era, right? Or World War Two?
World War II. You
Yep,
have M1
yep,
Grand.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
So
I think there's a couple others out there, but yeah, that's the main
Yeah.
one. So anyhow,
we're so
we
learned.
digress.
We're so learned.
yeah, we are so educated.
Yeah, we're home teached
Yep.
mostly.
Yeah. Well, I was a purebred. But anyhow, getting back to
Are you sure not inbred?
finger tabs.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm not from Superior.
My gosh.
Burn.
That's applicable to like 6 people who listen to this, so you better fear for your life.
All 6 that
We're-
are related.
I'll be
That only goes to further my argument there, buddy.
I will be releasing Dustin's address for his home. There is a drug dealer who lives across the street, evidently, as we sit out here and watch the people go in and out at all hours.
Yes.
But he is right across the street, so you can double whammy.
So
Anyway.
finger tabs. What I've found, I went through a couple different ones on trying to figure out, did I want to shoot 3 under? Did I want to shoot split finger? And so once I figured out, no, I actually really like the 3 under. That took a couple finger tabs out. You know, I got a couple given to me from some people, about a couple other ones. So I figured out the 3 under, and as I've been figuring out, I had one of the original ones I had bought I really liked, but since it's got a metal like plate to it, I found that it wasn't great for hunting because trying to switch hands and carry my bow, it could easily scratch up the bow, and I wasn't cool with that.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, so I need one that doesn't have a metal tab, and I was looking at a couple other ones. So right now, I'm trying out the Bateman 3 finger under model, and then the Black Widow's 3 under model as well. And trying to figure out, for anybody that cares.
That is so disrespectful. I apologize.
Man,
That was really rude.
that was rude.
I
I feel deeply hurt.
that
This
was
is
a
our
little-
safe space, and
yeah,
then you just violated
I just
the
totally
safe space.
violated
This
it.
is the fireside chat time. Like, this is supposed to be
No, the last one was
Warm.
fireside. This one is no betas allowed.
no betas allowed. So I'm just kind of trying. I saw somebody else commented too on my post I made. To give I think it's a Yoast 3-under model a try. So
Nice.
I don't know. Might have to try that. And I actually, honestly, I'm kind of processing even just building my own.
Like your own actual.
Releases
Okay.
and getting some material, playing around. I got
Hey,
some
I know a
Kydex.
company. I know a company that's got some nice. Oh,
Yeah.
dude, that's proprietary information. You keep that to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Shh.
yeah. I'm
Don't
giving
give
the
up your
specs.
business plans.
My secret specs.
Yeah.
Secret.
So 3-under. That's what you're gonna. You're convinced that at least
at
that
least right now for a while.
Okay, yeah.
It might change in the future, but for now, I
the
really
next
like
2 to 3
3-under.
minutes it may change.
It could.
It could.
I am archery fluid.
Okay, so we're gonna talk equipment.
Yes.
And I don't want to limit this to just bows at all. I'd like to widen it top down, where we're at in general, where we want to be. I don't know. Just kind of working through it.
Well,
so
let's
what's
start-
the biggest thing?
Let's
What do you think
start
the biggest thing?
with what we used last year, what we're using this year. Especially, let's just start with what we're shooting. I think that's what most people care about. That's what everybody kind of goes to. It's a good starting point. So
It's a key thing.
yeah, it's a
You may
pretty big
or
area.
may not need it out in the field.
Yeah. So last year, what did you use? What was your weapon of choice? Your
Okay, so
killing machine.
Yeah, so I had a bow from my brother Seth. It was a Tomcat. Oh, what's the Tomcat from? Why can't I think of it? Bowtech. That's what it was.
Bowtech.
It was 10 or so years old. I had that for a few months.
Actually, I'm
and
pretty sure that's even older.
it might be. Yeah, I was
Oh,
trying to
I'm
look
gonna
up.
look that up now.
Well, they quit making modules for it. I know that. So my draw length was 1.5 inches long or something along those lines, and they didn't make any modules that were short enough anymore. And so I was getting by, and I had some misses using that bow. And
Blame it on the bow.
no, I'm not going to blame it on the bow. I'm just saying I did have some misses with it.
All right.
And
2002 to 2008. Oh, wow. So, yeah, you were all right. 10 years. Could have been, 15.
yeah,
It's old.
I appreciated it, and it got me hooked, man. So it was legit.
It was the gateway drug.
Yeah, it was definitely the entry level gateway drug there. So so I was shooting that for the first month or two maybe, and I was shortly convinced that I will be bow hunting or at least shooting arrows for the rest of my life. So I wanted to, if an opportunity presented itself, to get something that was maybe a little bit newer and brought in the new era of technology maybe. And something that would actually fit my draw length. That was kind of my biggest complaint, was after I started realizing how big of a difference it is when I'm holding the string by my ear
just slightly.
instead of my nose touching it. Just wrap it around the back of my ear. So through a serendipitous, there's a word of the day, occasion, no, I probably didn't use it right. A happy coincidence, I think, is what that is going to mean. I was following these guys, and you guys should check them out. And I'm going to just keep plugging them every time they naturally come up. Identical draw, 2 twins. They had a channel that I was following, and I really liked the content they were putting out. And they happened to be using bear archery. And I reached out to probably 3 or 4 people, actually, that I was following on Instagram. And I was like, I know this is a little bit of a unique situation, but how do I get by with what I have? And, trying to figure out, do you have any ideas on, what I could do to get more consistent or any of those things? Trying to really just find a solution to what I had. And while talking to, and the smoke is right in my face. This is great. This will be really good. While I was talking to them, he was like, well, I'm actually selling my Bear Kuma. And because they are sponsored by Bear Archery, which is so legit.
Which, by the way,
Yeah.
Bear Kuma is making its grand appearance in an upcoming movie, the new Rambo movie, even though in the preview it masquerades itself as a crossbow.
Anyways,
Anyhow.
we won't go into that. I did notice that it was set up to a door thing, right? Where
Yeah,
you open the door and it released or something like that.
Yeah.
Now we're plugging Rambo. Really?
Well, I had to make
Yeah.
fun of it because Rambo was using the bear takedown and recurve, and I was saying how cool that was. And then you're like, well, the Kuma was in there. I was like, no, it's not. And so I had to go. Had to go back and look. You know, if you actually puff through the cigar, it actually goes.
That's hard to believe. That means I have to talk less.
That's true.
So,
oh.
so anyways, they were getting the, I think, 2019 model at the time, something along those lines, or it might have just been the 30-inch axle to axle one, and I was gonna. He ended up offering like an irrefusable deal on the thing. Like I was dumbfounded. I was so appreciative. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So anyway, loyal forever now. And so I did. I ended up buying that off of them, and he sent it to me. And oh my goodness, dude, the difference! Like, I didn't think that I'm like, oh, I've only shot this little bit amount. Like, I won't notice a difference in vibration and speed. And I definitely noticed.
Yeah.
It was seriously like even like when I remember like setting the pins like at 20 and 30, and I'm like, oh, they're almost touching compared to the other one where there's these big
just
gaps
big
in between.
gap.
Yeah. And so I ended up acquiring that, and then in my haste, I ended up buying a what was it? It's gonna be for sale, so if someone wants to buy it, please hit me up. It was like a Hoyt carbon fiber sight.
Yeah.
And I just didn't do research. I didn't
No.
spend time, and I had actually bought it originally for the Tomcat.
Okay.
And so I wasn't like, oh, I need all my stuff to be just right. It was just like, oh, the sight on the Tomcat is breaking because I'm adjusting it so much because it's not the bow that's off, it's me. So I stripped out some screws and stuff. Any hoozle. So I acquired that. So I started slapping on, what accessories I did have, and I think I got a stabilizer, like that little rubber one.
That's a dampener. That's not a stabilizer.
Yeah.
That has no stabilizing effects whatsoever.
See, it's people like you that make people like me not want to get into archery.
Well, you seem to have been sticking around. So
Our inadequacy is unsurmountable
yeah, I was there too.
in light of your knowledge,
I had to
sir.
Google stuff. Still
So
Google
much.
stuff.
Yeah, but I'd like to figure
Google
out.
makes me sound smarter than I really am.
Yeah, well, it's one thing to know your equipment. It's another thing to like know where the animals are.
Yeah, they're in the woods.
Yeah, that's true. So anyway, so that's what I'm shooting that, and I had the FMJs because that's what was given to me. Like
Full metal jackets.
Yeah, Seth hooked me up, and I actually really like those arrows. I really did. I don't know much, but I really like those arrows.
Did you like how they looked?
I actually really liked how they looked.
Yes, I knew it.
I'm into looks, man. I
It's
am.
true.
I'll own it.
Yeah.
Like I'm
So
not a
am
real
I.
fan of the fletching just
Yeah.
because of the colors
I mean,
that you've given. So like you are actually more well versed in the arrows I have now because I took them off of you. So you can tell everybody what I have for arrows because I don't even remember.
Oh my gosh.
See,
Oh.
I'll say it again. This is why I didn't want to
This
do
is why
it.
guys like you
No.
make guys like me feel bad and don't want to be around and hunting. Stupid
Well,
archery.
No, I think this is part of why I think it's going to be good that we talk about it is because at a certain point, it's like just get, as long as you're not putting yourself in danger when you're shooting arrows. Like if you don't have the right spine and
Yeah.
you're like really actually going to hurt yourself. As long as you're not putting yourself in danger to a certain extent, it's like just get a bow, get out there, start shooting.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be top of the line. It doesn't have to be.
No.
And then, like if you find you like it, then, then choose to prioritize it and put some money into it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm at. And now it's like going into recovery of like, okay, so now what do I actually want put on this thing?
Yeah.
And so that's part of like where I'm at. And like the arrows you have, I trust your opinion, and you've put a lot of thought and research into the arrows you're shooting and the FOC and the spine and all that and the poundage that I'm shooting at. And so I've been able to lean on you pretty heavily for the technical stuff. So I'm being serious when I say tell them what arrows I have.
You've
wasn't a
got
joke.
you've got the gold tip Valkyries.
Yep, I
So-
agree.
Yeah, and I think I had set those up because I was running those out of the tracks last year, and so I had set those up with 100 grain inserts, shooting a 100 grain tip, so 200 grains total up front. Had a nice, I forget the percentages, mid-teens FOC, good overall weight, not too heavy, not too light, and 4-fletched. And have you noticed a difference in shooting?
I'm gonna be honest. And this is like just those weird things you like. these weird things you notice, and it's all of a sudden like, well, was it always like that? Like, I wasn't used to shooting the lighted nocks, and so being able to see the arrow in flight and like take stock of it, and it's not like a mystery where it's hitting, has had a weird effect on me.
Like for better or for worse?
Like I'm like, oh, is this shooting slower? Oh, is this or that? Like just noticing like what's happening in flight, opposed to like having to pull out my knockers. Yeah, and look and see where it hit, and like that anticipation actually was a little bit fun, and also like a part of it too is that like every time I'm like within close to the 10 ring, is that the right reference?
Sure.
What do they call the middle of a target?
If you're shooting at like a 3D target, I don't shoot at 3D targets, so a 12
so
ring.
If I'm
12 ring.
Sure. Okay. So if I'm at the near the center of the target, seldom am. If I'm near the center of the target, that green lighted knock now becomes my focal point, and I really have to focus on not focusing on that. So so I feel like I'm biased when I'm shooting. It's like, okay, am I shooting for the green knock that's near the target, or can I actually make out the black dot that I'm looking at?
You know what I did?
What's that?
I've taken a few of my lighted knocks, and I just left them on, and so that killed the battery, and I just used those as my practice ones.
Yeah. Well, that's like you're burning what is it? $20 for one? No.
I got those.
Is it $20 for like three?
You can find them filthy, like $11, $12 off eBay.
All right. Well,
For free.
I'll have you do my shopping.
All right.
So anyway, that's what I'm shooting for arrows. And then again, in my haste, I bought when I was going out for a weekend long hunt with a buddy, the quiver I had was like a 3-arrow quiver, but the arrows were not staying in position. Like they would fall
that's
out.
The worst.
And I was like, it was almost the most frustrating thing ever when I'm like attempting to stock and like trying to walk through the woods, and my arrows are just slipping out, and I'm like, this is unbelievable. Like I cannot, like it was
It's a bunch of crap.
Yeah, so I was really frustrated. So I just bought again. I just went to the archery shop and just picked up whatever one. I'm like, at least this will hold it, in position. And found out I really hated that quiver, but it did hold my arrows in place. So I ended up buying your tree limb quiver, right?
Yeah.
That's what it was?
Yep.
Really glad you painted that black.
Yeah,
And
it had a nasty camo pattern to it before. Ugh.
yeah, I agree. It probably did.
It's got to look good.
Yep.
Because that's what hunting's all about, looking
right.
good.
Look good, kill good. That's what they
Yeah.
say, I think, in the industry.
Yeah, because the animals, they know who looks good and who doesn't.
Yeah, they're willing to put themselves in compromising positions for people who look really good in the tree. So,
Dang it, I need to improve my looks, I think. Shoot.
So I acquired that from you. I'm trying to think what else I have on there. They had a peep sight. It's like a red peep sight. I don't know what it is.
Did you get that switched out yet?
No, it's still too big. Like
That
it's
thing is
still
massive. It's like a
It's really nice though. Like your sight picture is really good, and I can still shoot pretty good groups. Like I'm still shooting pretty good groups, but I'm like, I probably need to narrow that thing in a little bit.
I
Because
like.
it is outside the ring of the frame of my
Obviously,
what do they call it? Scope? Was that what they would call that?
Your scope housing.
So I don't get to just line it up and fill that.
Yeah.
And so to make sure it's centered, but
Yeah.
I'm still shooting pretty good groups with it. So I haven't been like super displeased or something. Otherwise, I definitely would have swapped it out by now. Oh, and then I went from a whisker biscuit, and you know what? Honestly,
It works.
whisker biscuits are great. Like they're quiet. Your arrows don't rattle around.
Yep.
And I was watching something. I forget what it was. You lose like 6 feet per second, or I forget how they measured it.
Yeah,
It wasn't a huge
ton.
loss,
But
but it was still something.
yeah, and I've heard, and this is where, especially being in the Northland where we deal with cold, wet, situations, is that can, especially on snowy, cold days, get a little like hang things up because it gets so cold or potentially
Yeah, if they start
wet,
if they start to get stuck to each other because of condensation and freezing and all that jazz. So yeah, it's something to consider. And so then I got you'll have to help me with this one. Is it a Hamsky?
Yeah, Hamskia.
A Hamskia drop away rest.
Yeah, the hybrid hunter.
Limb driven, right?
Yeah.
And I've actually been really happy with that.
Good.
And I was watching some slow-mo videos, and it looks like it's dropping at a nice and with good timing. It's not like the fletchings aren't hitting it or anything like that. And so with my little understanding, I've been pretty happy with that as well.
Nice. I had that last year too, and I like that. I mean, it's a bomb-proof rest.
Yeah,
And-
and it was, I thought it was really important what you said too. And maybe I'll let you talk about it, but like, why would you pick the limb driven, and what's the other option?
Yeah. Well, so I mean, you get the limb-driven rest, like the Hamskia, Trophy. Was it Trophy Ridge? Makes one, and there's a bunch. There's another one out of Minnesota here.
Oh, Vapor Trails.
Yeah, Vapor Trail. They make a
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good one too. What I found I really liked the limb driven, kind of why I switched to it last year, was the ease of setup. And the fact that I was able to set it up myself at home and didn't have to have a bow press, so I could, get the cable into the cables on my bow. And I think kind of thinking in field, like if that string gets cut or not, as long as I have extra string, I can just quickly rig it back up.
Yeah.
Plus, too, what I've heard from the experts like Tim Gillingham, who helped design the Hamskia, is that it actually, the limb driven ones, the rest or the plunger falls slower, so it actually stabilizes the arrow longer than a cable driven fall away rest.
Okay. And I was finding, and this is just with my trivial little slow motion video that I was watching like frame by frame, my arrow was getting about 3/4 of the way through before it was actually off the rest.
Nice.
And so it was like totally clear of the fletching, but it seemed like it was there long. It wasn't like dropping right away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so I thought, I was like, oh, okay. I think that's probably good,
Yes.
just intuitively.
From what I hear.
Yeah.
I don't have any expertise on that, but
I'm
from the
trying to think.
experts.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think. I don't think there's anything else on there. I think one thing I really, really like about the Barracuda, and this is the 33 axle to axle, so it's not the real compact
That's
one.
a nice size, though.
I was like, when I shot you, or when I was drawing yours, because yours was shorter than that. It was
Yeah,
more
I had the
compact.
Triax, so that was a 28-inch axle. So
Dang,
even though the cams on that thing are like a foot long, so it's like more like a 30.
Yeah. So like part of that to me was just that extreme angle and like just, I don't know, like I felt a lot more stable with that little bit longer axle to axle being 33 inches, and it just, I don't know, it felt comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you can I would probably get used to anything because I'm not too critical, but
Bear makes a
it
little
was comfortable.
28-inch axle to axle bow.
Yeah, and they do make a 30-inch Barracuda that's relatively new as well. But one thing that I had fun experimenting with, and it was not only draw length, but like you can actually kind of mess around a little bit and feel the back wall, as they say. Maybe you can explain that for people a little bit, like what that means, the back wall, because I had to learn all about that when we started like actually having the availability to adjust the bow to what I needed.
Yeah.
So maybe explain like a back wall and how that plays into everything.
Yeah, so obviously on a compound, they're set up to only draw to a certain length. Whether, I know some bows have it set where there's a certain peg on the cam. Some bows that peg will hit like the cables, like the yoke cables or whatnot, and stop it. Others will hit the limb itself, whereas like the limb design cables or limb draw stops are a lot harder just because there's obviously no give to once it hits the limb versus a cable design draw stop. There tends to be a little bit of give where you can kind of pull into it. It's all a preference. I know some people, they love the rock solid limb. Others like a little bit of give to it. Do you know what the Bear is?
I'm trying to remember exactly what it is.
Does it feel like it has a little bit of give to it?
No, I'm pretty sure it hits the limbs, if
Okay.
I remember right. Because I think the cam, as it comes all the way around, there's a peg sticking out that comes around, and then it hits the bottom side of the limb,
Okay,
I want to say. So, yeah, it's pretty rock solid.
Nice.
Like, when I'm trying to really work on, like, my release form,
Yeah.
like, I find I do really well when I'm, like, just feel like I'm stretching the bow and just really just driving against that back wall and let my finger kind of naturally curl around it and squeeze the back kind of together a little bit. So, I think that's what that one's at.
Okay.
I'm okay with being wrong on that, by the way.
We'll have to see.
Yeah, we will.
If anybody can correct us, please drop a comment. Tell Ethan how wrong he is.
Yeah.
So two, you also what were you using for a release last year?
That's right. Thank you. Well, I had my brother's I think it was my brother's True Fire, which was interesting. And then I bought like a newer True Fire because just the wrist strap had been a little bit worn on the other one, and so I just felt like it was a little inconsistent because it was just stretched out. I felt, and so I actually just was like, "Oh, tried and true, buy another True Fire." So I bought another True Fire, and what I found with that was I knew exactly when the arrow was going to be released. Like I knew how much creep there was in the trigger, and so it was like it was not a surprise, and that is not something, if anybody's into shooting rifles or even pistols, whatever, you want to be shooting in a way that you don't know when it's going to go off. So like I'm going to jump into my AR for a second.
Jill Turner would disagree with you.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So we can talk about that later.
Right. I mean, when you're quick shooting though, so like we don't have to get into that. And now welcome to our gun podcast. Yeah. No, but like I have like a 3.5 pound trigger, Geisley SD3G. It's like a super dynamic 3-gun. It's like a 3.5 pound trigger, and I never know when it's going to go off.
And you say you don't know your equipment.
That's for my AR, opposed to my bow, and so I definitely knew like, I know exactly how much creep is in this. I know how much I can take up on it, like slack I can basically take up on it, and I kind of knew when it was going to go off, and so that's when you kind of turned me on to the Hot Shot release, and still kind of the same style with the trigger and everything, but it's much more basic. I set it as basically as light as I could, and it is very unpredictable in terms of once I'm at full draw and I do wrap my finger around it. No. It's like when I put my finger there, it's go time whenever it goes. Like I'm aware that it's a serious moment.
Yep.
It's not like it just goes off, but you know what I'm saying? So I've really liked that. I've enjoyed that release quite a bit, actually.
Good.
So it's been good, switching it up a bit.
Nice.
So definitely wouldn't be changing things as much without your input. So I've appreciated that.
I try to help a brother out.
I know you do.
Try to save you from learning all the lessons the hard
Yeah,
way like I did.
You've already saved me quite a bit of money. So it's good to have friends. Yeah, so am I forgetting anything, Dusty? Is there anything else? I mean, besides my amazing rangefinder from Vortex.
We'll get into that.
Okay. All right. So I think that's my bow. Is that it?
I think so.
Okay.
I think
cool.
so.
I did it, everybody. Don't be too intimidated. Just make sure you know someone who knows something about it so they can back you up, especially when you buy their arrows. All right, Dusty, you're up. What are you shooting, or what were you shooting last year? Because I kind of covered last year and what I'm going to be shooting this year, more or less. I mean, I might change a thing or two, but...
Broadheads.
Gosh. Okay, everybody, get ready to get triggered.
Oh, boy.
So, and I honestly have no gripe. I'm not going to lie. It worked every time I used them. Rage broadheads.
Oh, rage.
Yeah, it's like
all the rage.
Hyper dynamic. I forget the name of those ones are exactly. Okay, so I was using those. I do actually have one gripe about them. I found because I was actually mobile quite a bit, and I would keep an arrow knocked a lot of the time I was in the woods, because even on the way to stand, it's like, I'm hunting now. And I had some turkey encounters and stuff like that, and I had a tag, and I was like, well, I better, I'm gonna hunt while I'm out here, no matter what position I'm in. I'm not just gonna wait till I'm in the stand. And so I had the I think it's like the Rage has the 2-inch cut diameter, and then I want to say hypodermic or something like that. Yes, that's what it is. Yeah. And I had those, and they have this little plastic collar with the tabs, and that would basically hold the blades from deploying to their full width or whatever. And first of all, I started off without having extra collars on hand. And so I would be out in the woods walking around, like hunting, and literally a blade of grass or wheat or whatever it was would get caught and get pinched on one side of it. And if I pulled it, it would break the little plastic tab, and that broadhead's done. Right there. That was it.
That sucks.
And even if I did have a collar, it's take your arrow, unknock your arrow, unscrew the thing, slide the old collar off, put a new collar on, and then go back again, and you're still encountering the same problem as you're walking through the woods. So that to me was my biggest gripe. I was excited to see, and I thought it was really cool that this year they released the, I believe it was a Rage Hypodermic NC for no collar. And so it's got like a little, I want to say it's like a little
like indent.
A little indent. It's like a bearing or something it rolls off of. I forget what it is. But basically, you can snap them back into place. And so that wasn't released yet. So anyway, I was using the hypodermic, and that's what I got my buck with. And then you and I kind of decided, and by you and I mean you, decided that we were going to go to fixed blades because we are really interested in supporting more local companies.
Yeah.
With it, which is Tooth of the Arrow, right?
Tooth of the Arrow.
That's what we're rocking now. And
Out
so
of Rosemont, Minnesota.
Yep. And so I was like, well, I'm like I said, I'm not like super attached to anything, but I'm also not like searching what's the next great thing or how are we gonna. And so for me, it's like, all right, I've tried I've tried this, and I'll give these fixed blades a shot, and they just a 1 inch. It's like a four blade solid steel piece.
Yep.
And it's a 1 inch cutting diameter.
Yeah.
And so I'm willing to give that a run, and that's basically where I'm at right now. And that's what I'm going to try to be hunting with next year.
Nice. And we should clarify too when we say local, like small local as well, because Faradyne, which is the parent company of Rage Broadheads, is like a mile from Ethan's house. So
yeah, or less.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like small local. Want to help the small guys out, small business.
Yeah, I think it's cool to just connect with those people, and you never know where things are going to go.
And
it's
just like Rage.
Like, that's the thing. Like
honesty moment
dude,
here.
I don't understand it. Why?
What's that?
Why?
I think their marketing is horrible. Like, I think they. I'm just not a fan of Faradyne. I just don't like the quality of the products they've been putting out. I think their marketing.
Yeah. How much have you used it?
What's that?
How much have you used it?
Fair amount. I went through a bunch of the releases, brah.
Releases.
Yeah, and I've used Rages.
Okay.
So.
And you just found they were unsuccessful, or you just didn't like? Did you run into the same issues I was running?
Well,
into?
I didn't shoot a deer that year, so I can't really test that.
I shot a lot of dirt, and they deployed great. So
I'm sure
I had like 3 to 4 arrows.
They
in the
work
dirt last year.
100% of the time, 70% of the time.
Oh my gosh! So basically, the guy who's the fringe guy is actually going off of marketing. Is that
that's
what that
just
is?
part of it?
Okay,
Part
all
of
right.
it. Yeah. No, I think they overmarket themselves and underdeliver on products.
Okay, that's one opinion.
Yeah, that's an opinion.
Yeah,
it's fine.
And I really, outside of the thing they addressed this year, I was actually really happy with them, and I thought they shot really consistent compared to my field tips. And so for me, that's what I was really looking for, is something where, like, I already shot a Tooth of the Arrow, and I didn't have time to tune my bow to that broadhead.
And you're also shooting the 125 grain, which is slightly bigger.
That's true. And
which also that throws off
everything.
The dynamic spine of your arrow, because you're already running kind of on the top end of the weight for the spine.
Yeah, which we bought the 100 grain that we'll be hunting with, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where we're at. And so I don't really have a huge gripe with Rage. I liked what I was using. That one thing with the plastic tabs, once it's blown, you're done in the field. If like,
which kind of goes back though to what we've talked about before, the whole like having the equipment that, and there's so many manufacturing companies out there for everything, bows, releases, broadheads, etc. But it's what we've talked about before was finding that equipment that's going to give you the best peace of mind, which increases, I think, the mental aspect of going out there knowing, okay, no, my equipment, it is good.
Yeah, but this is the balance that I think people run into, and what I have trouble with is like, and by trouble, I just mean it's something I wrestle with a little bit, is like, okay, this gets me in the field. Like, it's good enough to get me in the field.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, because
there's nothing wrong with
there's
that.
a really high entry-level cost to get into archery hunting.
Yeah.
And so when I got into it, it was like, okay, this goes in the field. I have some people that I know have done well. Yep. They've been successful, and this is what they've used. And so I'm trusting their opinion at that point that this is a reliable thing to use.
Yep.
So I did that, but then on the opposite side of it is for people like me that are new, and then I go, okay, so now how do you figure out what's the most reliable?
Yeah.
And it's like name brands wouldn't be name brands and they wouldn't be big without some sort of actual legitimate product in my mind.
Or
like it would fall flat on its face at some point. And so I went to like,
there's
well,
a lot of companies.
well, I was good, but this is the thing is like, I was like, oh, if I'm going to fix broadhead and then I don't have to worry about it, the tabs breaking off. I'm like, all right, I'm going to buy iron wills. Like that's how extreme my mind is because I don't want to deal in the obscure middle ground of like, well, I don't know. They say they're good. And I mean, I listened to do you remember that podcast I told you about where I was listening to that one guy talking about like this hybrid arrow where it was, I forget the name of it. I could not stand what was going on.
What was that broadhead?
Maybe we shouldn't name it.
I don't care.
I know you don't, but I don't even remember. Here was
yeah.
the sentiment is that basically the idea was this, that he was building a hybrid arrow that would have a minimum of 1 inch cutting diameter, but also it was supposed to be that it would also deploy some blades for
which
another
makes it expandable, which I still don't know how he marks it as a fixed blade broadhead when his blades expand, even though there's other fixed blade portions on it.
Right.
And it's still expanding. It's an expandable broadhead.
So he was talking to some DNR guys that are in some states where it's only fixed blades.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, and they don't even know how to categorize it. So I might be in the, right market where you can use it. But here's what rubbed me the wrong way and just felt like this is like that's such anecdotal evidence is he had like, well, I shot this one deer in one spot with this arrow and then I shot it with my broadhead and it went right through the bone. And it's like, dude, that is so trivial.
Yeah.
Like that, you can't, he's got like, I think he had like 3 or 4 examples of kills where he's just saying, oh, I shot it here before and then I shot it here again with mine and it went right through and it was great. And while it may be true for that, the smoke is right in my face. I can't breathe. This is real, people. And it was just like, I was like, okay, I'm done. This is why I don't research. This is why I just buy the top of the line or just like the mass produced
Or whatever Dusty tells me.
Well, you know what? Make fun of it and then I'll never use what you say again.
I won't. But at the same time, like on the flip side, that is also a big part of why you and I have kind of started wanting to use Tooth of the Arrow, coupled with the fact that it's a smaller, relatively local company. But also after hearing an interview that the owner, I forget his name, did on Garrett Weaver's Point On podcast, I really liked it. I really liked what he had to say. He wasn't trying to promote the broadheads as his next greatest best thing, but just this is what we've designed, why we designed it, what we think's good about it, and if you are looking for something new, try us out. If not, if you like what you already have, like that's cool. Like we're totally cool. Like it wasn't this. Again, it kind of goes back to this marketing of like we're the latest, greatest, best broadhead ever, and they will slay anything. Like we're the best, hardest hitting broadhead in the market, which always seemed like a really weird.
It'll go through 4 inches of concrete, not dull.
Like hearing somebody claim their broadhead is the hardest hitting really is kind of a dumb statement because the broadhead itself has nothing to do with how hard hitting it really is. Like I think a lot more goes into how hard it hits because of
that's just a major red flag.
Draw weight of the bow being used and how heavy the arrow is that the broadhead's on, like just whatever. So that was a really long rabbit hole. We just
That's okay.
Yeah.
So
we're trying to work on our honesty, folks. Telling people how we really feel.
Yeah, we're trying to really just be
our
us.
therapist said, be more honest.
Yeah, we just need to be more honest with our audience. They said. Yeah. So that's my bow. I think at this point, just because of how long it's going, let's just stick with my stuff, and we're gonna do your stuff on another one. I think that makes sense because we have a lot of stuff to work through. Is that fair?
Yeah, how long?
44 minutes.
Oh man, I can knock mine out in 15.
Oh yeah, well now you can.
All right, okay, let's shoot. I'll shoot it away.
Okay, you go for it. Let's go for it.
All right, so last year I was using the Matthews Tri-X. Before that I switched around. I had run a couple different Hoyts, and then the Tri-X came out, and everybody was like, "Oh, what a stupid little bow, 28-inch XL, and then came out. People started trying it, and they're like, wow, this is a really sweet shooting bow. And so one day I was at an archery shop, and I was like, yeah, I'll try it for giggles. And I tried it, and I instantly felt like, I was like, wow, this is really amazing. And I couldn't stop thinking about it, and so ended up selling my Hoyt, and I got a Tri-X, and so I ran that. And it was a sweet shooting bow. I actually really, really enjoyed it. The only thing I didn't like about it was the grip. I actually ended up changing the grip out pretty soon. And even then, the way the riser was cut, there was just a section by the thumb that I was constantly battling torque with.
Yeah.
And so, which they actually addressed this year in their lineup, their new lineups with, I forget the names that they came out with, but
Well, it doesn't matter to you anymore because,
no,
you've moved on,
I
haven't
moved
you?
on. Yeah, we'll get there. Well, everybody knows, but which actually, the yeah, I really like the new risers this year, because they addressed that one issue. So I shot that, really liked it. Let's see. I think I talked about this previously in my deer killing episode of the arrows. You know, I started off the year, I ran with Black Eagle Spartans with VPAs, 2 blades. They're flying great, great flying arrows. But then kind of ran into, you know, when I'm theorizing, I don't have actually any proof, but I think just due to the design of the inserts in the arrow has kind of created a wedge effect. So every time it hit the dirt or a deer, I think it was just mushrooming the front of the arrow. So halfway through, you know, deer season, as I've talked about before, I ended up switching over to the gold tip Valkyries, and then I switched my broadheads over to Schwackers, and just because, you know, just did some research. I was like, yeah, I'll just run the expandables. Obviously, it worked. You know, it killed the deer, went right through. So I was happy about that. I really liked them. You know, that Trax was the setup I had, because I was also running. Let's see, I had the Hamskia Hybrid Hunter Pro Rest. Really loved that. I switched over at the beginning of the year from a Montana Black Gold 3-pin slider, which I liked, and then I was just, you know, just because I just have a commitment issue to my equipment, I just love trying new things. I ended up selling that and getting the Spot Hog.
Oh, that is putting that is putting it so lightly.
Yeah.
I have a slight commitment issue. I went through 3 compound bows in a single season.
We'll get there. I haven't gotten to that.
Oh gosh.
I stuck with one for a year. It's in between seasons where I do a lot of switching. Yeah, so I switched over to
You're bow fluid, aren't you?
I am very bow fluid. Hey, whatever's the best. Or at least what feels the best. But yeah, so I switched over to the Fast Eddie, Spot Hog Fast Eddie XL single pin slider, which I found actually really liked. Visually, for me, that single pin, just my eyes picked that up. Actually, it was a double pin. Technically, it had 2 markings on it. But I really liked it. Just visually, it just, for my eyes, it seemed to work a little better. I also really enjoyed the fact, I think the thing I really enjoyed about the whole setup, from the Tri-X to the rest to the sight, was just how bomb-proof the setup was. Like, I mean, I'm hard on my equipment, and I was hard on that. I mean,
Oh yeah, you were throwing that thing around.
Oh yeah, just chucking it.
Yeah, just kicking it down the road.
Maybe that's why
You're like, I need this to look more manly.
you're supposed to throw the bow at the
You're
deer,
gonna
right?
ding it up. Yeah, maybe that's why you weren't so successful.
Dang it. But yeah, so
You're moving to some sort of, with your degrading of efficiency, you'll be moving to something where you're just throwing things at deer soon.
just knives, just throwing knives.
Or atlatls.
Yeah,
I'm adamant about the atlatl will be here. I'm going to predict 2021 at the very latest. You'll be rocking the atlatl. Oh man, this thing is dope.
In a loincloth.
For authenticity's sake.
Oh man. Anyhow, back on track. And so yeah, I really enjoyed that whole setup. Like I said, just how bomb proof it was. I never had to adjust the sight at all, the rest at all throughout the year. And like I said, I was hard on it. I also gone from just a front stabilizer to running a dual beat stinger stabilizer, just trying to play around with getting the whole bow dialed in and balanced, and so that was fun. I think if I'm honest, like I could have shot it just fine without a dual stabilizer. Here's what I did find though.
But boy, it looked cool.
It did look cool.
You look so
you know.
official. You have a super compact bow you just made into this big old cumbersome piece of equipment.
It wasn't too bad. It was sleek and slender. Actually, I do push back on the argument of like long stabilizer and how it'll get caught up and walk you through the brush. I'm already carrying a freaking bow through the woods. Like, what's a little longer stabilizer? But here's the real benefit of having a nice.
I already know where you're going, and I am so jealous. For
Long
this.
stabilizer, and you know this when you're out walking through the woods, being able to sling your bow over your shoulders and having that nice long front stabilizer to hold on to.
I've been trying to figure out how to do it outside of doing that, and I won't buy one of the actual slings. I'm like, I just can't do that.
A sling is nice. I actually ran a sling this year.
Of course you did.
For certain times. It was really nice. You can go play with that fire if you need to.
I just want the smoke out of my face.
Well, you know what they say, smoke follows beauty.
Is that actually what they say?
Yeah. Have you never heard that?
I've always had smoke in my face, everybody.
See? So yeah. Dusty's equipment.
Slinging
the bow.
Slinging it over the
Slinging
shoulder.
the arrows.
That is a huge thing. Like that, I actually, when you're running gun and you're not like, just heading out to Old Faithful, not hunting on the way, all that jazz. Like if you're just actually out walking and looking for deer, it is so nice after an hour, 45 minutes, just to be able to throw it over your shoulder and just distribute that way. Because, I mean, it's weird because you wouldn't think, right? Like when you initially grab it, but when you're walking out through the woods, it's like, okay, it would be kind of nice to get this off my hand.
However, what's even nicer is a wood trad bow. That thing is super light. My hand doesn't get tired holding it.
I'm not going to disagree. That would be kind of nice.
Yeah. Even though I was made fun of this last week.
Oh yeah, I gotta post those.
Relatives.
I gotta
of
post
yours.
those. It was hilarious. He's got it. I'll post some of those.
He got burned.
Yeah, they were
Got
just
burned
sizzling
by a
ya.
10-year-old.
Sizzling you.
So and then end of the season, I ended up getting. I kind of got the itch though, and this is why I changed. A, to get a bow with the better grip, and B, I wanted a longer axle to axle just to try it. And so yeah, that's when I switched over to. Well, I ran through. I first picked up a PSE Expedite. Just did not like how that felt. I was having a hard time finding consistency with it. Just, didn't care for that. Sold that and then got the Matthews Monster Wake, and yeah, that thing was a shooter. That was a big 35-inch axle to axle thing. Weighed like over 5 pounds. Thing was a beast. Like it was a monster.
This is why it's valuable to have friends like Dusty, because I don't want to spend the time grabbing bow after bow, changing things over and over, figuring out who I need to trade with, what I'm going to sell and buy, and like managing all my funds and cash flow in order to try these things out. It's too much for me. I'm like, give me a bow that shoots straight. It's just my fault if it's wrong, and I'll just get better with it.
There, and that's different strokes for different folks.
Well, I'm saying what you're doing is valuable for me.
Yeah.
So just like
it
using
all works.
That's all.
So yeah, well, let's see. That was kind of my bow setup. Oh, releases. Obviously, if anybody wants to get the nitty gritty of details of the releases, just go back and listen to.
We'll spare you.
Yeah, what I did find, I will say this: I found for me, my hands and everything, I did like the Hot Shot Tempest. That unfortunately wasn't able to use it longer because, like I said, I actually really liked how that felt. So I was kind of sad about that as soon as I figured that out. And then like, I'm going to the trad world. Where's my tabs?
Yeah, Aaron Snyder, here I come. Wait for me. I'm cool. I'm hip.
I don't think Aaron Snyder likes being referred to as
you
hip.
guys. Hey, everybody. Dustin's pretty big deal. At least he thinks so now.
Wow.
Aaron Snyder's following him.
Oh my gosh.
He's liking his pictures, everybody.
Oh my gosh.
He's so red in the face
so
right now.
embarrassing.
He's so red in the face right now.
Yeah.
Come on. Just own it. Just own it.
Man.
It's cool. You know it. It's a little cool.
You're just jealous.
Maybe a little. See, I'm being honest. That's the difference right now. You're just like, oh, this is embarrassing. Just say, yeah, it's cool.
Yes,
I like it.
I am an
You-
Aaron
you
Snyder
like-
fanboy.
Yeah, that's okay.
I've appreciated Aaron Snyder
Just
and
own
his
it.
honest, candid attitude.
He's grown on me.
in
I
the
will.
hunting
I'm
industry.
sure he really cares about my opinion from what I've listened to so
I'm
far.
sure he deeply cares about
Yeah,
Ethan
he's
Taylor's
very.
opinion.
He's very. He gets torn up about people's critical opinions.
Yeah.
But he's actually grown on me a little bit. He's a funny guy.
He is.
It's a very dry sense of humor.
Yeah, but
I've
he's
grown
funny.
to enjoy it.
He's got a lot of technical knowledge.
Yeah.
And the guy, like, if I could practice half the amount of times that he practices, like, I would, that'd be amazing. But anyhow, that's kind of my equipment in a nutshell. You know, now this year, switching over, obviously to the trad bow. I've gone through a couple different bows already and currently shooting a Black Widow PCH. And super sweet bow. You just want to move over? Dude, like, scoot the chair over, bro. You know, you don't need to put up
I'm
with
just gonna
this.
stand up over here for the rest of the time. Yeah, we're gonna be mobile.
Uh,
Okay, so I'm gonna run through. Why don't we run through just real quick?
All right.
Our camo and why, or what we chose and why. Can we do that really quick?
or,
Are you gonna be able to do that really quick?
Yeah.
I feel like I can do it really
Hey,
quick.
that's the one thing I've been consistent with the last 3 years.
I'm actually impressed.
Yes, you should be.
Okay, so basically, this is about as not as ragtag as it gets, because there's people who just don't care at all, and that's great.
Actually, I think we should save this for another episode because I think this will get into the clothing, and I think there's
Uh-huh.
a good discussion there.
Is there
Yeah, like
Okay.
why you don't use cotton,
or scent control? I use scent control.
real scent control.
Do you use scent control?
What's that?
Do you really?
Yeah, a shower.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll save it
See,
then.
boom.
All right,
Future
Dusty.
episode.
Dusty, where can they find us?
Currently by the fire.
Well, yeah, currently, but that's going out. So where else can they find us consistently?
You can find us on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube. I don't remember the last two. that you just-
Instagram, Facebook, and
Well,
then
yeah.
also we added ourselves to Spotify, Google Play Music, and
Oh, yeah.
Castbox. So if
Castbox.
there's something you like listening to more than YouTube or Podbean or iTunes, hopefully that makes it a little more easy for you or a little more familiar.
and if you actually listen to us on, what was the last one you dropped?
Castbox.
Castbox. See, I can't even remember it. 'cause
Please
I've
tell
never
us if
heard of
that's
it.
an Android thing or not.
Yeah.
I just signed us
if
up.
anybody is listening to this on that, please let us know. We'll send you something.
Yeah, we better.
I just feel like
Because
you-
that's fringe, man.
yeah, you're
we
totally
feel like that's
fringe.
totally fringe.
You're probably on the dark web.
Yeah, either that or you're a hipster.
Ah.
Yeah, and as always, if you guys are enjoying it and you're liking it and you've listened to this far and you know it's the end, but you're still listening somehow for some reason, share it with somebody you know, like in person or also just on the
interwebs.
networking interwebs.
The interwebs.
And I mean that would mean a lot to us. I think that's really the biggest thing is we just like growing the community and hearing from people and sharing stuff.
And
So-
also, like, if you haven't checked us out, we have a Venator Chronicles community Facebook page where we want all of our listeners to head on over. If you have Facebook, become part of the page, interact not just with us, but also all the other community members. It's been fun hearing the stories and seeing the adventures of everybody. Especially jealous of guys like Christopher Peterson, eating elk and elk hunting.
Oh my gosh!
So,
Well, I think what's going to be really cool is I think it's going to get really active in the fall, and that to me is
Yes.
exciting.
And we already saw some sweet turkey
Yeah,
hunting
we did.
stories. You know,
So-
people that actually killed turkeys.
Yeah,
Unlike
they
some
go
of
out and
us.
successfully smoke turkeys.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's going to be a place where people can come together, share stories, thoughts, what's important to them, all that jazz, critique us,
Make fun of us.
whatever. Yeah, making fun of us more than we already do. So anyways, thanks for listening, guys.
All right. Peace out.